This is Beyond the Noise from Arrow Health. Real voices, raw stories, and the truth about addiction, recovery, and life.
Welcome, everyone. We're here with Bec. She's the Director of Nursing and Operations at Arrow Health. Also my boss, friend, mentor, someone that I ask for advice from all the time. Welcome, Bec.
Thanks for having me, Josh.
So I'm glad you're here.
I'm glad I'm here too.
So just to get some background, you've been working at Arrow for the last, 4 or 5 years?
No, it's 3.5.
3.5 years. What did you do before Arrow?
So before Arrow, I worked at YSAS with young people in the residential units. I managed those. And I worked at Parkville Youth Justice Centre as the health services manager. And then before that, I worked in various public and private hospitals. I worked in ED, short stay units, hospital in the home, anywhere except ICU.
Wow. So have you always done nursing? Is it?
Yep. I started nursing when I was 17 and I've never looked back. Except for a few times where I've thought, I'm not doing this anymore. And then I try and be like a nail tech or something, it doesn't work.
How long did the nail tech last for?
Well, I wanted to stay at home on maternity leave for longer. So
okay.
I did it for that. But even then, I think it lasted like maybe a year. And I was like, yeah, no.
Okay. So this is straight after high school, you're getting into nursing?
Went straight and did my enrolled nursing and then started working a year later when I finished that and then did my bachelor degree and then I was able to work because I already had my enrolled nursing.
Okay. So what was the desire to get into nursing? Like where did that come from?
There wasn't one. I always say that I was just meant to do this, right? Like it's like a calling because I spent most of high school doing drugs and I did my VCE. And I don't even remember what my score was. My
Enter score?
What was it called?
Yeah,
then?
I think it was like
it's still the same. That's how much I remember.
Enter score, I think. Yeah.
So I actually got a guaranteed entry. So it meant that. So obviously I did shit enough that I needed this guaranteed entry. And so that's how I got into the diploma straight out of school. And before that, I'd wanted to be a criminologist. I was going to be a journalist. When I was really little, I'd wanted to be a nurse or a teacher. But then, like I said, throughout high school, I was not schooling. I wasn't doing any school. And so I just ended up in nursing. And now, where I am now, and for a long, long time, I was just meant to do that. I was just good at it. Like I don't say I'm good at many things. I don't say, I'm not really the greatest mum or the greatest wife but I feel like I've always been pretty good at my job. Like I just get it. Like I understand it. Not necessarily the ins and outs of a cell or things like that. But when it comes to people, I seem to get it. So
where does this come from? Like, why do you think you get it?
I think I've got a pretty good ability to connect and to read people. And I go with my instinct. I go with, it sounds silly, but the energy someone's putting off. It doesn't matter who that is. So I'm sitting there and there's just been a knowing. I just know. So I can be sitting there and someone can be talking about something and whether it's a psychological thing or a physical thing, and then all the pieces just start to fall together and it just makes sense to me that you're saying and doing this because this is most likely what's going on. And I've always just been able to do that. I'm certainly not a genius, but I seem to be able to tap into people, connect to them and understand what it is that they need in that moment, whether that's emotional support, physical, there's a physical problem with them or whatever. I haven't got a right. There's no reason for it. It's just been something that I have been good at, and I don't know whether it's something I needed to do. I've always been a bit of a mood monitor and things like that from things that have gone on in my past, but the ability to sort of read people and that comes with that, but then to have a knowing about what they need physically and psychologically, I don't know, it's just this bizarre.
It's just been there,
it's just,
right? Yeah,
just there, and this nature just to care.
Yeah. So do you think this is something that's just been given to you, like a gift from birth,
Yeah, I would probably say so. I know when I was little, all I ever wanted was a baby. I just wanted a baby. And I remember I got this newborn baby doll, and back then they were like proper babies. Like they were like mapped out like a baby, and I got a boy. And I was so happy. His name was, I called him Andrew.
Okay.
Why
Andrew?
Why?
Okay, all right.
Yeah,
cool,
exactly.
cool.
Why?
Yeah.
And I would make my mum, she would take me to like, it wasn't called Big W. It might have been. It was something like that. Or, I don't know. And I would buy real baby clothes. And I can still, this was so significant to me that I can still smell the smell of like the powder and all that sort of stuff. And I'd get nappies and bottles and all this stuff. And I would take care of my dolls, like really take care of them. And I would also do things like I'd play schools, like, and I would always take care of the kids. And I was, always doing something that involved some kind of caring, which is bizarre because most of the time I know people don't perceive me as someone to be this caring individual. But yeah, it's almost like, just a gift that was given to me that I was meant to do that for. And I was meant to end up here. You know what I mean? I was meant to end up looking after people that are vulnerable, and I guess people that can be taken advantage of.
Yeah. Do you think this is kind of like contributed to how good you are at your job? Like, you know, because I know, like, obviously working underneath you, just the impact that you have on the people around you and your ability to kind of, I guess, you kind of have this ability to nurture everyone at one given time, like a whole group of people. Yeah, do you think that's just carried on into your work life, like that sort of like drive?
Yeah, and I suppose so. When obviously I don't think of it like that, but yeah, and I suppose I do it more in my work life. You know, my husband will tell you like, "Why don't you nurture me?" And I'm like, Why? Why would I do that?
You'll nurture it out.
Yeah. And in saying that though, if it's like if the need arises, you know what I mean? Like, so in my personal life, if the need arises, so if my husband's sick, then and really sick, like he has to be proper sick. Like he can't be like man flu sick. If he's sick, I can take care of him and I'm really good at it. And I suppose that's like at work as well. If you guys need me, then I can take care of you guys. I can take care of the residents. But if you don't, then I'm not. You know what I mean? So when it's called for, it's like when it's called upon. I went and I did this thing in Bali. I went to this healing guy, and I know you're funny about all these sorts of things, but he talked a lot about my ability to lead and nurture, and that's just part of my nature, that's just what I'm meant to be here to do, and whether that's true or not, I mean, I'm never going to know, but that's what I'm doing.
Yeah, it's amazing. So going back to, you've just applied for your enrolled nursing, right? What happened after that? Like what was your first job?
Well, so when you do, and it's still the same now, when you do nursing, you have to do a placement. And I still remember, so we're going back now, over 25 years. My first placement was at a nursing home, and I went in, and everybody hates working in aged care, like especially when they start out nursing. I don't know what they think it's going to be, but I loved it. And there was this woman, and she had what's called contractures, so her whole body was stiff like this. So you can imagine, and legs and everything, changing someone like this. So here I am, this 17-year-old girl going in, having to, clean someone up, change someone's nappy that's this older woman that's, I haven't seen this before. I loved it, loved every minute of it. Like the fact that I could make her comfortable, clean her up, do it. I just felt so much satisfaction from it. And I never hated. I never hated my aged care placement. It just didn't bother me at all. So I went and did that. And then I worked in a nursing home when I'd finished my enrolled nursing and went into my bachelor. So I worked in a nursing home for quite a while. And then I got a job at a private hospital that's no longer there now. And it was my introduction to mental health. So they had a mental health ward and a rehabilitation ward. And I worked on the rehabilitation ward, but sometimes they'd just put me, the enrolled nurse, not the registered nurse, and the baby nurse in charge of the mental health ward. And this one day, one of the residents ran around the ward and filled up all the toilets with toilet paper. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what to do. Okay, that's what we're doing. I was 17, almost 18. And I remember loving that. I remember really loving that. But at that same place, they had 5 regular residents who lived there, and they were all they'd been in car accidents, and they were TAC, and they had. Each of them took like a good couple of hours to get up out of bed. None of them could walk. One of them was a quadriplegic. They had big dressings and wounds. Like this was a heavy work. You know what I mean? Like I don't know what nursing new grads do now, but this was a lot. And so you can imagine if, you've got 5 or 6 people that take 2 hours to get out of bed every day, it's taking up your whole day. And again, it was really hard work, but I loved it. Like yes, it would get tiring, but I loved it. And you'd have to get machines out to get them out of bed and all this sort of stuff. But loved it. Loved every minute of it.
Yeah.
So I worked there for a while because my bachelor degree was 3 years. And then I got a job at the Northern and I started as an enrolled nurse there, just working casually on all the wards there. So, yeah, that's how it all sort of started.
Okay, so it's kind of like a baptism by fire, hey, going straight into aged care, then into mental health.
Yeah,
right?
It just and that's how my career has gone. I think always is. So when I finish, you do a grad year after you do your nursing. So in that year, you're supported, and you have I don't know what it's called now, but you have a mentor. And so when you go onto the wards, you're supported to do your med rounds and all this sort of stuff in the beginning. Because I'd worked there as a Div 2, they just said, oh, yeah, you'll be fine, off you go. So off I go.
Yeah.
Med rounds, okay, yep, we're doing them. And that, and so everything I did, it was just like, yeah, she'll be right. Like, you'll be right. And I just did it and I loved it. And so then what it became is it was like if you tried to put me back in the box and make me sort of conform to like what you want. It was hard because everyone had just said, go, yeah, she can do it, go. And yeah, it became a real struggle for me in those early years when people would try and hold me back from things that I wanted to do that I was confident that I could do because they'd let me go because it was beneficial. And then, all of a sudden, oh no, you've got to follow this rule and you can't do that. And I'm like, what are you talking about?
When was your first experience with that, feeling like you're being held back?
I suppose it was one of the best experiences of my life though too. So after my grad year, I got a job on a new unit at the Northern, and our boss was very, very, very regimented, and it was a surgical ward, and I had to learn because I was. I had a very free spirit anyway, and I'd been doing what I wanted. Like everyone let me do what I wanted, whether it was life or work or whatever. And all of a sudden I had to bring it in, and I really struggled with that. And I'd get in trouble. Like I'd be pulled into the office. I can't even remember for what for, but, and I'd be really passionate about things, so I'd crack the shits and I recall this now, these emotional outbursts I'd have and yeah, because I had to conform. It was about conforming, and because they did more so than on any other ward, everyone behaved in a certain way. It gave me though, set me up for the rest of my career, and it really gave me some guidelines to operate out of moving forward. But it was really hard for me in those, and they must look back and just go, she was messy, she was crazy. I don't know what they would have thought, to be honest. I always worked really hard and I always had a laugh and all that, but yeah, I struggled to I wanted to do what I wanted to do, and all of us, why am I not, I'm not going to be unsafe. So what are you talking about? I never understood that.
Yeah.
And I still struggle now with that sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah. So there was actually a growing sort of moment in that.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. I really grew from that, and it put me, I guess, from, a worker into a professional, and I still had more growing to go, but yeah, it really did.
Is that something that you kind of still wrestle with now?
Rules?
Yeah. Well, not just rules, I guess balancing out, but when you're going to be out of the box, off the leash, and then being in between the guidelines or whatever, right?
Yeah, and I have to always, so I'm really good at staying within, say, what my scope of practice is, what I'm allowed to do in terms of my actual role on my registration. I know that. It's there's things I can and can't do. Now that I'm a nurse practitioner, I can prescribe. Before I couldn't. So clear line, don't cross it. But say if there's something, I guess you would have seen it, like if there's a type of person that that is permitted to be admitted, right? And there's someone that's not. But then I can see that person deserves an opportunity and I know I can make it happen safely. Why are you telling me I can't when I can help them?
Yeah.
And so it's never, ever coming from a place of just, I suppose, me wanting to do what I want to do. It's me wanting to help someone and you're in my way, or me wanting to make something better and you're in my way and you're stopping me, and it really frustrates me. So, yeah, there will be times, but I also have learnt along the way that it's, obviously the way you present that information, like who you're presenting it to and what you're presenting. And I have been blessed at Arrow to, I suppose there's a lot of trust put in me, which I feel I've earned, to be able to make those decisions and make those changes, which is, I suppose I'm very lucky to have that, so it isn't as much of a struggle now. But there's definitely still times where I'm just like, but why?
Yeah.
But why?
Yeah.
It's not good. It's not fair.
Yeah.
Why do they miss out, or why are they doing that? Yeah.
Yeah. So you've just moved into this new ward at the Northern. Okay. So what happens after this?
So I'm there for a little while, and then I go off and have my first baby. So I'm only 22. So I go off and have my first baby, and I think I only have 6 months off with her. So
This is the now tech.
Huh?
This
No,
is
this is
okay.
no,
I just want to say.
no, because I had to go back to work 6 months. Six months later.
Wow.
So, and I'm right in it. Like, I'm board and bred nurse. Like, I'm in it. So I go back and I'm working night duty at this stage, and then I'm only working 2 days a week. I went to work down in the short stay unit, in emergency short stay. Loved that. Very busy, very, very busy. 5 dedicated mental health beds. We're getting, a lot of alcoholics coming in, all that. So this is where we start picking up now on, I guess, what I really love to do. So really, really enjoyed that. Was doing that. And then the manager there went on maternity leave, so I acted up in that position. So it was my first management position. So I was acting up in that role, and again, really loved it. Loved stepping up into that space, and being able to be a leader, and obviously finding your feet. Like, it's all very new, and when you step up when you're young, everyone's got something to say about it. So I did that, and then when that position finished, my manager moved me into hospital in the home. And this was supposed to just be a relieving position that I didn't really want anyway. And unfortunately, the person who'd been in that role, I don't really know what had happened, but the staff were all very close and thought I'd come in to take the position, and I hadn't at all. I was put there. So I'm going to make the most of it when I'm there. So it was a bit challenging in that role with the staff, but made a lot of changes, did a lot of different things, and again pops up about people using drugs and, can't go into their home. So we created this clinic where they could come in and have their treatment rather than we go out to their homes. And it was just this, again, this little niggling, why these people, like, why is it so difficult? I wasn't scared to go out to their home if that had to happen, So it's there again.
So did you implement that into the program? Was that something that you...
So we started this...
Seen a gap?
There was a gap. And so we put this just an ED cubicle that we would use so that people who it was considered a risk to go out to their homes, they could come in and have their treatment there. So that was really good as well. And there was another one. So there was a guy, he was a weed smoker, which is really funny now when I think about it, I think, why would we even worry? But anyway, and so we had to come to an agreement with him that he wouldn't smoke any cones before we got there.
How did that go down?
Yeah, he said yes.
Yeah, okay.
Whatever. He said yes. But so I just laughed because that people were worried about that, and I was like, I was not worried. They never bothered me. And that was the thing as well. People who were aggressive, it never bothered me. It just didn't faze me. If anything, if I saw it, I was running to it.
Yeah. Where do you think that comes from?
I do not know because my mum is she's a very placid, quiet, sensitive type of person, obviously just being raised by my mum.
Yeah.
and her partner. I suppose Shez is she's a bit more like full on. But yeah, I don't know where it comes from. I suppose I look at, the rest of the people in my family. There's no one that does that. There's no one. Like, I don't know what that is, and I don't know why. I do feel that sometimes it's like, well, especially as a leader, like I've got to be able to go in. I've got to go in and face the fire because that's how you take care of everyone else.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I can't throw anyone else in there.
Yeah.
And I can't stand up by and go, oh, I'm frightened.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
So I did that. Then my marriage broke down after about 16 years. And as a result of that, I ended up leaving the Northern. I needed to leave the Northern. So I left there and I went on this bit of a it was like a work bender. I got a few jobs, I wasn't well. I really wasn't. My mental health was not okay. So I'd go get a job, do well at it, but then something would happen, some slight thing would happen and I would explode. Like it was really bad. I remember one day being out on near Bridge Road near the Epworth in hysterics because I've just quit my job. Like, just quit your job.
Just out of nowhere, just kind of
there's something was said to me and I just quit my fucking job.
Yeah.
Like, there's totally unhinged.
Yeah.
So this went on for a little while, and then I got so then I had a friend who gave me a job at the Royal Melbourne, and I worked in radiology there for a while, and then I went down and I was just working as a floor nurse there, and I worked as the ANUM in short stay at the Royal Melbourne. And again, I was back in my element because we opened up behavioural assessment unit. So they had drug and alcohol in the behavioural assessment unit. So they'd come in there, they might need to be sedated, all that sort of stuff. So, and it was a quick turnaround. So I was in my element. It was busy. It was near ED, drug and alcohol, forensic clients, people were just getting out of custody. So I'm loving it. But at this stage, I still haven't picked up on the fact that I have this ability with certain types of people and that I really enjoy. I haven't even, because I don't divide people up into categories. I'm just like taking care of anyone.
Yeah.
But now I look back and I'm like, yep, definitely. So then after about 12 months, I got a secondment to the Department of Health. Now, this is something I always wanted. One of my mentors had once said to me, you want to get a secondment to the Department of Health. No, it is not at all.
Okay. So you tick the box, but it's not what you thought it was?
This is no criticism of the Department of Health. It's just not me. I'm not I like to be in it.
Yeah. What was there like a lot of red tape or was it
No, it was a lot of people in certain roles making rules and giving accreditations and stuff for things that, like, how do they know?
Okay.
I couldn't understand how they would know that, and it was just a lot of letter writing and, and I was just like, no. And, definitely it's a needed thing, but not for me. But what actually happened in this time, funny how the world works. So we've moved on quite a few years now, by the way. This isn't just, but I was with my current husband. We'd met and, we were living together and I was pregnant. And this one day I was 16 weeks pregnant and I had a complete meltdown, I broke down. I was so anxious and I couldn't leave my house. And it was probably a culmination of a lot of things that had happened over the years preceding that I hadn't dealt with. So I left the department. So I didn't even make my little secondment. Like I couldn't even, had a complete and utter meltdown. Could not leave my house from 16 weeks pregnant.
Wow.
By myself. So go on. This is the nail tech. This is where this happens.
Right,
so
okay.
I have my son.
Yeah.
And for the first time ever, I've got I can stay home for like more than a year. So I'm staying home and I decide I get a bit bored because that's what I do. I like to use my brain. So I'm like, I'll become a nail tech. Then I can stay home with my kids and be a stay-at-home mum. As I said, like I did that. As much as I love my children, it just wasn't giving.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah.
So I decided I'm going to go back to work, but I'm not sure what I'm going to do. So why not go and work in a youth justice centre? So that's what I did. And it made sense to me to do that. But that's where, I'd been working with people in addiction, with criminal histories who'd been in prison for all this time on and off and been good at it and enjoyed it. And I just saw them, just could see them. So I go and I work at Parkville and I wasn't frightened and they'd moved the health service inside. So we were right inside and had this great team and, so I had to learn this whole prison system thing and then learn how to set up the health service in there and do it, in this new environment. So I did that and I really, really loved it. I loved that job. But again, then it's sort of for me, I was always looking for something more. And if I wasn't going to go anywhere, then I was going because I'd sort of started I'd been in, my management had already started back at the Northern and I wanted to keep that up. So here I was a manager, but it was capped.
Yeah, you couldn't go any higher than what you were, right?
Yeah, no, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So I was like, okay. And I was like, and the difference between me and I guess managers I've had is I always want people to move up and have opportunities and move and progress. And I've found that I've, especially in that situation where you're like, you're not going further and they're not going to help you go further. Like that's it. Like that's your job. It's either that or nothing.
Yeah.
So, okay, what am I going to do? And that's where I went and I worked for YSAS. Again, really beautiful working with the kids. And I managed the residential units. So much different. Like people just don't understand the difference between, especially what we do now, harm in abstinence. It's so different.
Yeah.
But they were beautiful. They were just great. And again, back into, doing diversions for court and different things like that. It was really, really good.
So you're essentially going from the other side of like being at Parkville, which is like a youth justice centre, to doing like the resi care sort of stuff outside.
Yeah. So that's what I'm doing. So they've got 3 units and it's drug and alcohol detox and all that sort of stuff. So doing that. And then I obviously got the opportunity to come to Arrow. I still remember the day I met with Toby and Maya for the interview, and it sounds terrible, but I was like, of course I can do this. Like I was just like, I didn't know what I was going to walk into, but it was just like, of course. Like why wouldn't I be able to do this? This is like so easy. And I have, and I walked in and I loved it, So that's the journey, the career journey.
Yeah, it's so interesting because knowing you, like you've got this unique ability to find gaps in anything and be like, and just not even like pause and just be like, okay, that's what we need to do here. Like it's so hearing you tell your story makes so much sense, and all this stuff that you've learned over time to be able to bring that into the program, it's obviously been amazing. But now we're at Arrow.
Yeah.
So what was your first thoughts? Like, what did you think when you first came in? And
so when I was at Parkville, that had been implementing a new service. When I was at Hospital in the Home, that was fixing a service. When I went to YSAS, that was fixing a service. And I remember being told, I don't think you'll have that much to worry about. Like when I talked about all the improvements and that were required.
Yeah.
And Toby said to me, oh, no, I think, I don't think there'll be that much to worry about. And I thought, great. And I do remember walking in, and obviously because most, like YSAS was a bit different, but, I'm used to the more clinical settings. And I was like, oh, my God, what is this? Like what am I doing here? And everyone was so like unsure of me. Like I'd never walked into a place where people were so guarded.
Yeah.
And I know now that it was always like, well, how long was it going to last? I understand that. But I remember walking in and thinking, oh my God, what have I done?
Yeah.
But then what I did is I got to it, and what happened is exactly what you said, is that brain in me that finds gaps. It was like, like on a scan or something, and you see all the lights go. That's what my brain was doing, because because I knew that things had been done to really work hard and get it to where it was. But from my experience and where it should be, I was like bang, 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 bang. It was all just like coming to, and I literally had, like, I wanted to sort of come in at a more gentle approach, but I didn't really have that opportunity because I was like, well, there's so many things. We just need to get to work.
Yeah.
And I think that's what I did. We just got to work. All the while I wanted to make sure that whatever I did, that the staff were okay, because I felt like that feeling I had when I walked in, I didn't want that. I wanted them to, I guess, feel supported, and that I genuinely care. Like, it's, and I think you guys know that with me, that what you see is what you get. And I wanted everyone to embrace whatever we were doing and not have to be fearful that, that I was going to be punitive, or, that I got it, that I understood, even though I'd never met anyone, I got it. I understood where everyone was at. And again, it comes to, how did I understand that? I don't know.
Yeah. You do have these amazing gifts of, like, not just being able to spot gaps, but also to seeing the potential in other people. And that's been obviously a real blessing for my life, because the things that you've seen in me have pushed me, because I trust you so much, has pushed me in a place where I've been able to grow personally and gain confidence through that. So I just thought I'd share that quickly with you.
Yeah, but that's what it's about, because if you don't give those, that, like your team opportunities, like, it'd be easy for me just to keep everyone mid, right, and reign supreme, right? But my idea is that you're all better than me. Be better than me. That's why I want to be able to come to you and say, hey, what are we doing here? Be an expert at what you're at. I don't need to be. Like, I've had my time, there. And I think it's so important that you guys have an opportunity to grow and go further than me.
Yeah.
I think it's so important.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. And I think that's kind of why all the staff have kind of lifted as well, like having the autonomy to kind of like go do that and make mistakes, but feel supported in the process.
It's so important.
Yeah.
Because, that's what we expect the residents to do. You know what I mean? So if we're not all behaving in the ways we expect our clients to behave, in terms of positive behaviours, not negative ones.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, like we say, give it a go. Like, do it on your own. Make a mistake. Like, and how do you grow from that? Like, it's, and I suppose there's plenty of different leaders out there who, it's ego and all that. That doesn't come into it for me. We're all there to do a job, and if anything, I'd be happy to see you flying high. That gives me fulfillment. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Not you sitting beneath me and me going, naughty boy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
All right. So on that, so you've come into this new space. You've had to make a lot of changes. What have been the biggest changes that you've seen over the last 3.5, 4 years?
Oh, I'd say one of them is the staff group as a whole is one. So we don't have this, like, half the time I forget when we put up, like, we don't have therapeutic nursing. We have a whole team and we just have a bunch of people who all have different roles, and we all have to do those roles. But if called upon, we could probably do your role, everyone could cross. Yeah. That wasn't there. That there was no trust, So to see everyone become as a, like, functioning team, that everyone knows their role, but everyone does it together and values one another, I think that's probably one of the biggest changes. And I think our ability to admit people into Arrow without this really finite criteria, you know what I mean? We've broadened our admission criteria, and we can give more people a go. So when, and it's like they say, the thing is now, if Arrow won't give you a go, no one will.
Yeah.
And I'm aware that doesn't always work out, and it's hard work, And, you know, there's way more that goes into it. But I feel like every one of those people that's come in, even if it hasn't worked out, they were given an opportunity. So we got to spend time with them and we got to give them that bit of dignity, that bit of love, that bit of connection that they wouldn't have had because they were on Vyvanse, they were this,
Right,
they were, you know, they were schizophrenic, not taking their medication.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, yes, and I know there's time and time again where we shake our head and go, that didn't work out or that went wrong, but nothing's ever gone that wrong. Do you know what I mean? Like we're talking they leave early or they can't, you know, they can't participate in program wrong. I'd say that, that's a really big one because I feel, you know, no one gets left behind, which is obviously something that I value.
Yeah. Giving everybody the opportunity and the chance to kind of get it.
Yeah.
You know, and this is the thing. It's like when it comes to like mental health and addiction, they go hand in hand, you know. So it's like if, you know, just because someone's not taking their medication, well, we need to be able to work with that sort of stuff as well, you know, like, and we need to take this holistic approach.
And I guess that's obviously why we did the regulation stations for that. And that's what I love doing. I love being able to, and that's something Arrow gives me the freedom to do. There's a problem, we come up with a solution and we put it together rather than going, there's a problem, oh no, we can't do that. You know, and because we come up with things that don't cost money and we get creative and the team is working together, we can do them, you know, whereas elsewhere people wouldn't come together like they do. So it would cost money to do and we wouldn't be able to do it. But we're really blessed to have a team that is willing to, you know, jump in and do the things that they do, you know, doing the regulation stations or whatever to make that happen for that group of people. I think it's beautiful.
Yeah. You know, your passion for other people and having to try to help all people is it's infectious and it rubs off on us too. Like we kind of think outside out. You know I do personally. I think outside where maybe before I was personally maybe a little bit limited, and it's like, okay, even though I don't like to admit that, you know, maybe there was a particular client where I thought, no, they're too far gone.
Yeah, I remember you used to say they're not. Your default. You don't do this anymore. You used to go, we're not right for them or something, and I'd say, they're not, and I'd go, well, where should they be then? And I said to you, remember that day I said to you, well, unless you can tell me where they should be, you're wrong.
Yeah, and I had no ideas. And I was like, all right, cool.
I just get...
But that challenged me, you know, to be able to think outside, like, well, you're right, you know, like we've got to have the ability to kind of like work with them and give them a shot, you know, and I feel a lot better about myself for doing that as well.
And then we know as a team, we come together and go, all right, we've tried everything. What can we do anything else, or do we need to refer them on or find another option for them? And I think that makes us all go home. And, you know, I never sort of go, damn, like, you know, I wish I had have. I don't ever really do that because I feel like we do every single thing we can.
Yeah, we definitely do. That's for sure. Yeah. All right, so you're in this high pressure role, right? You've kind of like worked your way up. You're now managing Arrow. But in the meantime, you've been able to get your nurse practitioner license. You've been able to navigate raising a family. All these things that you do on a daily basis. Like, how do you separate yourself from your work and your life and your personal life? Like, how does that go?
Yeah, I don't.
You don't?
I don't. Yeah. No. Yeah, and you know that. That was so a leading question. No, I don't. And doing my master's was really, really challenging for me because I still don't like that kind of studying. So, yeah, achieving that was massive, but I find myself in roles where it is at home with me because, you know, I guess I'm the, you know, 24/7 I'm on call. So, I can't let it go. And I know it does get frustrating, but as time's gone on too, what's really good is the team, especially the leadership team, have allowed me to, you know, get a break and switch off more now than I could say even 6 months ago. But it's always there. Like I'm always working. And I suppose, and you would understand this. I mean, you're better at boundaries than me, but there's with work, with work. But you know, like you kind of, we're so into it. Like we're so into it and we're so close that you do it sort of in your mind. Like you sort of worry about, oh, how's that going or what happened on the weekend.
It's hard to separate yourself.
Yeah, completely.
Yeah.
And so I find that I'm better. But I think too that like my family understand that is how I am. And I'm never not being with them because if I'm not being with them, it's because I don't want to, not because I'm working.
Yeah, I get it.
Do you know what I mean?
Yes,
like
yeah.
it's in the beginning, in those beginning days, it really did take me away from my family a lot. Arrow, there was a lot to do. But now it's more Arrow and my family just coexist. They coexist together and it works, you know?
No, because I'm interested because, like, obviously I know your family, right? I know how amazing your children are. They're just awesome. And I think, like, children are a reflection of their parents, you know? So I know how much you commit yourself to your work, but I also see how much your kids have this great relationship with you and your husband. And that's why I asked the question, because I know you take both things together, but you still have this amazing kind of engagement and nurture for your family as well. So what's the balance there? What do you do to kind of like let that happen?
I am so open and honest with my kids. So I'm there, and I'm not. I'm the worst. I a lot of the time to get my own time go into myself. So I'm not even going to say I'm really present. I'm not even going to lie about that. Like, and I'm not even going to lie that I want to be. Like like that's the truth. Like my brain is going 100 miles an hour most of the time, but I love them fiercely. And if they need me, I'm there. But I'm also I'm so open and transparent with them. So if they want to talk about something, we're talking about it. If they want to do something, they're telling me about it, you know. And again, we're in this rhythm, like we're in this rhythm of what we do. And, you know, the girls are older now, but there's just this, I guess, naturalness to it. And they'll say like, you know, and it'll be things like I come home. One of the things I love to like doom scroll like after work so that I can just not, like I want to turn my brain off and I look for funny things. Like I'm looking for a laugh, right? Like I'm like a laugh junkie. But so Liv will sit there and she'll be talking to me and she'll be like, I'll wait till you put your phone down. Right? And so it's stuff
she knows
like
you're
that.
in your process.
Right. But she'll just make me do it. Or, you know, or Isabella will be like, I'll be like, where are you going? She'll be like, downstairs. You're like on your phone. And I'm like, oh, okay, noted. Like, you know. So it's that we're that open with each other that it doesn't have to be perfect, but, you know, we're really open and honest and the communication is encouraged. And that's the same even with Jack. Like, you know, he's off doing his thing and he's probably the one where I pay a bit more attention where I'm like, oh, I'm not, you know, like when he's really at me or something, I'm like, oh, you want attention sort of thing. So I don't have any rule for it. I don't have any like, I've got to be present all the time. I'm not even going to lie. And they know that I can't be. I can't be. Like I feel like it's impossible for these unrealistic expectations. You know, when I was growing up, I don't know how present, you know, the parents were then, drinking and smoking, dancing on the dining room table. Like they weren't present, but, you know, I didn't know any different. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I just think that it's everything coexists and I suppose I lead and I manage in all aspects of it. So it's just how it is. And I get it wrong. I get it wrong and I make mistakes. But I also don't have expectations on my older kids, you know, that I don't sort of have on myself. So I'm not like, oh, you need to be all, you know, here and fronting up for the family and doing all these things as a young person if we're not doing that for you.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. There's no special. I just exist.
Yeah.
And I just love them. My kids are my...
Yeah. I think I just wanted you to share that because I know that there's going to be people listening that are in these really high pressure sort of roles where they have to give a lot of themselves. But that doesn't mean that you need to separate between, you know what I mean? You can navigate the difference between you and your family. You know?
And you have to because I don't actually think you can separate it because it does take a lot of you to do those great things, right? To do great things for work, it takes a lot of you. And yeah, And it's not even about balance. Sometimes there'll be times where work, gets it all. This past weekend, I can give an example. Someone in our transition, I was supporting and thought might need to go and transport that person late at night, okay? But was also communicating because I wanted them to stay safe, right?
Yeah.
So that's where my focus was. My focus was in that. So in that moment, that's what was required. And that was fine. We just existed in that moment. And then come Sunday, it was a different type of what we were doing was a totally different vibe, and we were doing grocery shopping and we were doing all those things and doing things with my 8-year-old. Do you know what I mean? So they're not mutually exclusive. It's like just this, it just works out.
Yeah.
Like you've got to allow it
Yeah.
to, probably the hardest it is probably on my husband. I would say it's the hardest on him because he competes with the children, the job, the study, you know what I mean? And that does sound terrible, but that he does.
Yeah.
But he also does get it too. Like he gets it that that's part of who I am.
Yeah.
Like that's how I work. And the job involves people and people don't shut at 5 o'clock.
No, that's so true. What a good point. People don't shut at 5 o'clock. I love that. Yeah. It's so true. I mean, yeah, Jimmy's a saint.
He is.
He's a good man.
Imagine, you think about it, you put up with me more hours a day than he does.
Yeah, wow.
So imagine what a saint he is.
Yeah. We love you, Jimmy. All right, so just wanted to, before we wrap up, right, is there any advice that you have for anyone coming into the industry, maybe from like the nursing sort of sector, coming into like the AOD space? What would your advice be for them?
My first bit of advice would be to have your own stuff under control. Have your own, have your recovery in control, have your mental health, pretty stabilised. And I guess know yourself. I think because you can come into this industry and you can think you can somehow end up using work as your therapy. And work is not your therapy, and you have to be able to maintain yourself no matter what the day brings. And some days it brings trauma and sadness, and some days it brings laughter. But no matter what, you've got to maintain. And if you are not in control of yourself and you aren't maintaining that control over yourself, you won't make it. That's where burnout comes. We like to use the word burnout, but it's not even just burnout. It is even behaving inappropriately, crossing professional boundaries, doing all those things because you don't know how to be. And that's okay. That's okay not to know. And if you found yourself in the industry and you don't, and you out of your depth, and if you've got a good manager or a good colleague to get support from, it's really important because it's tough. It's really draining. It's a really draining industry. And I would say even not just for nurses, but everyone needs to have control over themselves and be aware of themselves because that can be, how they tell you when you put your hand up when you're drowning in the ocean. That's the same thing. Like if you have self-awareness and control over yourself, you can raise your hand and go, I'm not coping, and that's okay. But if you don't, you'll make a mistake, and that could result in someone losing their life, ending their life. You lose your job, you lose your registration if you're registered, all those sorts of things. So I think it's, and obviously the main one, you just do not do this if you are judgmental in the slightest, like the slightest.
Yeah.
Don't think you're going to go save the world and be judgmental, because it is I think it's the most beautiful industry, and I've had the best laughs at myself, at others, because everyone is raw, real, and we're all broken. But I think if you're judgmental, absolutely not the industry.
Yeah.
At all.
Yeah.
At all.
Yeah. Personal insight. What keeps you motivated to keep doing this?
I had to save it. A hard one. I would say every time I think I'm done, I sit there and I think about all the people that still haven't been helped yet.
Mm.
And what if that one thing I did got it?
Yeah.
That's probably it. Like, it's almost like you lay down and you go, I'm giving up, and then you're like, oh, it's a whole bunch of people that need help. Like, I don't think I can help them all, but it's that. Like, and why would I give up now?
Mm.
You know, I can still do it.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you're not giving up because, like, we're so blessed to have you. Like,
Thank
you're
you.
easily the best manager we could ever ask for. Me personally, like I said before, been a mentor, role model to me, even with parenting, all that sort of stuff. I seek your counsel, I seek your advice. And I know you're always going to be raw and honest with me, which I prefer because I'm not the type of person that really wants to try to overthink what someone said to me. I just know it's direct and it's honest and all this sort of stuff. So I really appreciate you. We're extremely blessed to have you. So
Thank you.
keep that motivation, keep that passion going because it's infectious for us. And thank you for coming on, allowing me to interview you.
Yeah, thank you for interviewing me.
Cheers.
Thanks.
Thank you.
You've been listening to Beyond the Noise from Arrow Health. For help or more stories, visit arrowhealth.com.au.